Well, the big moment is finally here. Donald Trump is set to be sworn in for his second term as President of the United States in just a few hours from now. The ceremony begins at 12 p.m. Eastern Time inside the Capitol Rotunda, with security reinforced by 25,000 law enforcement personnel. Vice President-elect J.D. Vance will take the oath of office administered by Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. Chief Justice John Roberts will then swear in the president-elect at noon, officially declaring him the 47th President of the United States of America. D.C. is buzzing, as you can see on your camera. There's a lot of excitement, long lines of people queued in the cold outside an arena in Washington ahead of Donald Trump's inauguration. On Sunday, supporters from across the nation gathered in the Capitol for his victory rally, despite freezing weather. Many people had arrived before sunset to try to get a seat at the Make America Great Again victory rally. Across the U.S.-Mexico border, people are awaiting Trump's return, anticipating changes to immigration policies and even better border conditions. Now, the countdown to Trump's return to the White House is currently underway. He had initially gone to church. He had initially gone to church with his family, and I understand that the Trumps have left the church at this moment. They are readying themselves to go to Capitol Hill. As I was saying, promising a day filled with both anticipation and intensity. Let's listen into the anticipation around the world. Okay, so what you see on your screen, that is outgoing Vice President Kamala Harris, I understand, with her husband. This is in Washington, D.C. They are awaiting, yes, it is Kamala Harris and her husband. They are currently in Washington, D.C. They are waiting. This is called the change of guard. It happens every time a new president is elected across the world. It's not special to America. So what will happen is the president will hand over to the new president, and the same will be done to the vice president, as you can see on your screen. That is the outgoing vice president of the United States, Kamala Harris, and her husband, and they are receiving the new Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, and his wife, Usha. That's the change of guard in America. It has already happened. Outgoing Vice President Kamala Harris has handed it over to J.D. Vance. Susan Teherani is in New York. Susan, a big day for America. In just a few hours from now, we do expect the inauguration ceremony to begin, but the weather is still cold.
As well, I'm standing in front of Trump Tower, and while the building is standing strong and steady, usually at a time like this, you would see a lot of supporters gathering around those that couldn't make it to Washington, D.C. to show their support for the president-elect and the incoming president of the United States, Donald Trump. But because of these freezing temperatures and winter weather advisories, you really don't see that many people on the street, let alone in front of Trump Tower. But there is going to be a watch party that tickets were already sold. It's sold out, so it's a ticketed event in Trump Tower at around 12 p.m. local time. It's going to go for about 1 or 2 hours. It'll wrap up at 3 p.m. So, you know, that really is an example of how a lot of the festivities, and if there's going to be any watch parties, is going to happen indoors as opposed to outdoors because, again, of these freezing temperatures.
Susan, are there watch parties in New York?
I'm sorry?
Are there watch parties in New York?
Yes, actually, as I mentioned, there's one at the Trump Tower, and there was another one I could locate, which is a bar downtown here in Manhattan. They're expected to have a watch party. I have to double check to see if that's going to happen or not. But, you know, New York is usually muted for events like this when there's a Republican president coming into office. Of course, this year's presidential election was very different. You know, Donald Trump was somewhat popular here in New York, but nonetheless, you know, there are a couple of watch parties definitely going on that I know of, but they are all going to be indoors.
All right, Susan Teherani, thank you. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.